Good morning. I'm Rhonda Singer. I ran a not-for-profit, business-focused organization, as I like to call it, for 10 years. And so many of your insights so validate my experience, because I came from big business to not-for-profit. The question I have is a bit different in that so many of your comments are so right on. My experience has been that generally out in the marketplace, the media, not-for-profits are not recognized. You identified so many of the skills and the capabilities that are hidden in not-for-profits. And I'd be really interested in your comments around why do you think not-for-profits aren't recognized really as businesses and have tremendous capabilities? And what do you think we could do about that in terms of putting not-for-profits out there in equal panache as corporations?
So how come we don't get no respect? Kelly?
You know, I probably don't think of it as not-for-profit getting no respect, so I'm trying to frame it in my own sort of thought process. But I actually believe that it's just doing great work and running an organization in which you feel incredible pride, and that your people feel that incredible pride. So I probably come at it from a bit of a different angle, and certainly the organization that I'm running, I'm working with, we're only 11 people, 10 of the greatest people I've ever worked with, and I had a little bit of a different experience in that I got to select each of those 10 people. So I think that we are doing phenomenal work. The people that I get to work with, I think they feel incredible pride in what we're putting out there, and so as a result, I believe that we are getting the recognition that we deserve. I think that the Canadians at large believe that we're doing good work, and so are supporting our efforts, and as we go and speak with more and more private sector organizations, more and more are coming online in terms of supporting the prevention end of really the work that Rocco and Paul are doing. And so we're working, I think, at a very high level, and I think getting recognized for it. So I don't really know how to do it in any other way except just arrive at work every day, do a phenomenal job, and continue to move the bar higher and higher.
If Cathy had tried to put on this event 10 years ago, there would probably be more people on this side of the table than on that side of the table. I think the reality is that while that statement is true, it becomes less true every day. You're seeing more and more, and you know, through examples like Paul, like Sharon, like Kelly, of people who've made the shift, have really opened people's eyes to it. The fact that you know, it's now probably 10+% of the GDP if you look at the not-for-profit sector as a whole. This is a significant part of the economy, and that doesn't do full justice to the volunteer hours. So I think it is turning. It is turning, and it's particularly turning because I think it comes back to people have a hunger to make a difference. And I think we went through a period, and it's not to take anything away from what Paul said about, I absolutely believe people out there, you know, creating businesses, generating real value for people is a completely honorable and important way to participate. But I think that that through what's happened in the last several years from Enron on, that at one time you looked at the best and the brightest coming out of our universities immediately being, you know, snapped up by consulting firms or by iBankers, and those kids are making different choices now, and I think that's all for the good.
One very small point, and that's just to bring it down to the personal level. When I first left the private sector to go to government 12, 13 years ago, at that point people said, "What are you thinking?" Well, they're not saying that anymore. People are saying, "Wow, how did you get into that?" And, you know, what an interesting, you know, career. So I think even on a personal level, you know, there's no question there's going to be people who aren't informed and don't understand what you're doing and don't understand the richness of the working life that you can have, and frankly, the much broader range of people that you'll cross paths with. I mean, it's just phenomenal in that way in terms of expanding your view of the world. So, you know, on an individual level, people are starting, as they get more informed, they're starting to come around to, wow, that's way more interesting than I thought. So as I say, I don't get that question anymore.
Just two quick questions, if we could, from the back.
Thanks, Nick. Good morning. My name's Mary Ann Kerr. I've given this sector 25 years of the A game, so I am not at all surprised that you love what you're doing. One of the things that I think has shifted as a result of folks from the corporate, for-profit sector coming here is that the language has really changed. So, Paul, you'll know from what I'm about to ask what I think about the lottery system as a fundraiser. I think it's a great revenue generator. I think that for big organizations like yours who can afford to take risk, it's a fantastic thing. But I think what's happened is the language of philanthropy has changed so significantly, and it was good for a while because it helped us to learn about marketing and sponsorship and business-to-business relationships. But are there things you can be doing to also talk about altruism and philanthropy and that side? Can you bring marketing into it in that way? Did that make sense?
Well, it totally makes sense for us. You know, we have two of our board members that have had their spouses die of cancer in the last 8 months. Everybody on our board has had a personal experience, either themselves or somebody very close with cancer. And we don't spend any time at all wondering about whether the resources we raise and our methods are going to the right cause. You know, whether we should be supporting some of the world's best cancer research selling lottery tickets, I'm not going to pass a moral judgment on that. It is what it is. If we could get $15 million a year from a donor or the government to support our core research budget, you know, maybe we wouldn't be taking the risk of selling lottery tickets. But you do have to.
Sure you would. You'd just hire more great scientists at Princess Margaret.
That's true. That's true. But I think the idea that any organization needs to take risks to raise money, and I really believe that taking the best of what happens in the private sector and applying it, in the public sector and private, and applying it in the public sector in terms of marketing is the way to go. And I actually think that if you look at the Weekend in Breast Cancer 6 years ago, when Martha Torrey, who's the best auditor in the not-for-profit sector, didn't know how to run the audit on our social networking fundraising. She had never seen anything like that. Nobody had seen anything like that. Nobody in the private sector was doing that kind of social networking fundraising. Philip King's here today. He's got a great company that he's built up, doing some great work. You know what? Doing, to me, the best kind of work in this sector, and he supports not-for-profits. So I think we need to do what we need to do to raise the funds that we need to raise. And, you know, people will make their own decisions about whether they want to buy lottery tickets or support other marketing activities. But we need to raise money.
Ladies and gentlemen, to provide some closing remarks and to thank our panel, the indefatigable Cathy Preston.
Yay, Cathy!
Yay.
Thank you all. I don't know about you, but it almost brings tears to my eyes to see this many people in the room. It's incredible because it says to me that you are all wanting to increase the capacity in this important sector and make the world a better place. And on that note, these four people, and Nicholas definitely, are a pretty inspiring group. I can't thank you enough. Paul, Kelly, Rocco, Sarah, Nicholas, when I asked, they didn't even hesitate. They said, yes, we're in. So it speaks to their proactivity. I think there was a major theme today around passion, which you saw. Nicholas, we didn't have an opportunity to talk at all about you and your company, but certainly the premier consulting company in the not-for-profit sector in this country. I encourage you if you're interested.